Attack on Titan, 10 Ways Annie Ruined Her Likability. Due to the nature of her character and all that ends up revealed about her, though, there are many moments where her likability can be dampened. It's hard not to at least somewhat fall for how most of the main characters within Attack on Titan are written and portrayed. They're all incredibly skilled in combat and want to make their own version of a difference within the world. But many of them are still misguided children. Almost every character that gets any sizable amount of time focused on fleshing them out has their own unique quirk that draws certain viewers to them quite strongly. And at first many people are understandably drawn to Annie Leonhardt. Her combat skills are downright frightening to the point where she can put them on full display even in her Titan form. While at the same time she seems relatively indifferent to the duties of a soldier. Due to the nature of her character and all that ends up revealed about her, though, there are many moments where her likability can be dampened for some fans. 10. She's an isolated person who doesn't see the point in trying to get along with others. One of the personality traits that can ruin a character for many people is the complete disinterest in getting along with others. Annie is never seen putting on a friendly smile, or does she care to chat with or get to know those around her. She can come off as incredibly apathetic, and this is in combination with her stated dream of obtaining an easy life within the military police. When the cast is filled to the brim with overly ambitious characters like Eren, many of whom grow into the role with his help, it can be hard to care as much about a lone wolf type like Annie. 9. Her sense of humor comes off as sarcastic and mocking and usually isn't well timed. Annie's sense of humor can be incredibly hit or miss, which makes it potentially off-putting for viewers. She doesn't let her humorous side out often, but when it is shown, it's typically in incredibly serious or dangerous situations, which doesn't always land well when combined with her cold, sarcastic delivery. The best example of this is when she's cornered by the Survey Corps outside of an underground passage. Annie puts on a strange facade and attempts to claim that she's a feeble maiden. And refers to Eren as a suicidal blockhead, which doesn't come off well. 8. She doesn't often lose her composure, but when she does it's usually with violence. Annie is typically incredibly cool and collected compared to many of her peers. However, in the few moments where she does allow this part of her to drop for a moment, it's typically in an act of violence rather than something that might add something positive to her character. She quickly takes down Eren during their training, and again on Reiner after he gets on her nerves despite it being entirely unnecessary. This isn't the only time she's seen beating on him either, and even if she isn't entirely in the wrong, it doesn't paint her in a good light. 7. She's willing to kill others, all for the sake of her goal of returning to a normal life. While Annie does show some hesitancy and it comes to killing her former comrades, she's still okay with killing others as long as it gets her closer to her believed goal. The only thing Annie truly wants is to be able to go back home to her father and live a normal life. Another thing that makes it hard to fully sympathize with Annie is that this ultimate goal actually goes against her previously stated beliefs. Despite seeming to be a cynical realist in most situations, she's driven on blind faith that things will magically go back to normal for her, which tragically but clearly isn't true. 6. She is single-handedly responsible for the death of Levi's much-loved squad members. It's hard to love a character who partakes in and doesn't outwardly show remorse for the killing of other highly beloved characters. In Annie's case, the biggest standout moment that makes her hard to redeem for many fans is when she single-handedly wipes out Levi's squad. The show spends a lot of time rubbing Petra's death into viewers' wounds as well, which especially hurts given that she's the sweetest and kindest out of the entire squad. All of their deaths are horrible and it can be hard to think of Annie positively after this scene. 5. She starts to show the potential for change but refuses to view herself as more than a monster. There's hardly anyone out there who loves watching anime who doesn't love a well-written and well-deserved redemption arc. Annie shows that she has the potential for this to happen, but sabotages it on her own with her way of thinking, which is a disappointment to many. Not only is she shown to be capable of working with others at the end of the series, but she even admits to Armin that she genuinely enjoys when he visits her. They set up the potential for her to at least partially make amends, but Annie sees herself as nothing more than a monster, making this impossible. 4. She forgives and commits awful acts in the name of her adoptive father, who treated her horribly. Annie's adoptive father is the one who trains her to become a warrior. He doesn't do this for any reason that might benefit her, but more so because he wants a cushy life for himself, and Annie is so hurt by his treatment of her that she physically attacks him. Before Annie leaves Marley for the Parody Island operation, her father begs her to promise him to come back, claiming that he finally sees her as his true daughter. She breaks out into tears, and this becomes her main, driving motivation, which seems out of character for her. 3. Her and Reiner are responsible for killing Sunny and Bean, the titans that Hang grows attached to. Fans are well aware that Hang ends up capturing 2 titans for research purposes that she names Sunny and Bean. She ends up becoming quite attached to them and has a genuinely heart-wrenching reaction to their murder. It turns out that Annie and Reiner are actually the ones who kill them. And although they're just titans, Hank's personal connection to them makes this hard to forgive. She even uses Marco's gear as a stand-in for her own to get away with this when investigations start, which comes off as distasteful. 2. She knows her actions are irredeemable but states plainly that she'll do them again as long as she can return home. It's hard to forgive a character for the atrocities they've committed when they openly state that they have no problems doing them again, so long as their goal is reached. This mindset only serves to push her even farther away from any sort of potential redemption arc, and it's just a shame. Hitch asks Annie if all of the killing she has to do is justified in the end, and she states that she knows her actions are irredeemable. Despite this, though, she'd do them all again as long as she gets to return to her father. 1. Adding personal and indirect kills together, she's responsible for the deaths of many civilians. It's hard enough to try to look past the direct kills that Annie commits throughout the series, including Survey Corps members like Petra. It gets worse when fans realize that she's also indirectly responsible for the death of Aaron's mother, as well as Marco. It gets much worse, though. Taking the wall breaches that she's been a part of into account, she's contributed to the deaths of several other Survey Corps members, over 100 Stohis district citizens, as well as numerous citizens in the Shiganshina district as well.